I went out hunting this weekend and I got a bunch of long-term specs to show off to you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, I got a nice little comic book haul to show off to you guys. A lot of this stuff is stuff that I'm dubbing as long-term spec. I was able to go out hunting this weekend and pick up a lot of really cool books. But if I'm really being honest with myself and thinking about, the potential of these things, panning out in the MCU in any kind of way, we're quite a ways away from this. I'm at least like 2 years, maybe 3 years out from this stuff panning out. But again, you never really know with this type of thing. But before I get into the haul, if you guys could drop me a like or a comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, helps support the channel, do one of those things, I would appreciate it. But let's get into the fun stuff here and let's talk about the books I was able to pick up. And this one is a very, very cool one and one that I think is a good spec overall, one that I think a lot of people have talked about, or maybe not a lot of people have talked about, but I feel like, I've seen this book around in the community and one that I've also had my eye on. But this one here is Avengers Annual #2. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the Scarlet Centurion, who is a version of Kang the Conqueror. Now, this is a book that I was able to actually get for $14 because it was on a little bit of a discount. So really, really good pickup in my opinion. They had this graded at a 4.0, as you can see right there. So really happy to pick up this book. And, the Kang books are really interesting. I think that we're going to get every version of Kang in the MCU, Ramatut, Kang the Conqueror, we maybe already got Immortus, we'll probably get Iron Lad, and I also think we'll probably get the Scarlet Centurion at some point. But, if I'm really thinking about it, like, when are we actually going to see that? We're going to get Kang in Ant-Man #3. I'm assuming that he's not going to die in that movie. I'm assuming that it's going to lead to other properties later on down the line. Maybe we'll get Young Avengers Kang, maybe we'll get Ramatut in a Moon Knight thing. Where the Scarlet Centurion comes in, I'm not really sure. But, overall, I think it's a, strong possibility that part of the plot of Kang the Conqueror is that we're going to see all these different iterations of him for many years throughout the MCU. So I really like that book. I think it's a really interesting one and one that, I picked up for spec. Who really knows when we're going to see it? All right, this other one is a book that I've picked up a couple times before, and every time I see this, I always, want to pick it up again. And this one here is Strange Tales #123. And what is the significance of this? Well, this, of course, is the first appearance of the character known as Beetle. It's also the first time that Thor and Loki, I think, meet Doctor Strange, and they're in a crossover into the Strange Tales book. And I think Beetle is a really interesting character. I mean, if we're thinking about Beetle, and having been used in Marvel comic books throughout the years, I feel like he's appeared in a lot of stuff. Like, he's gone against Daredevil many times during the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. He's gone against Spiderman many times. Like, he's had, little, what is it called? The Sinister Syndicate or something like that. He had a team going against Spider-Man. And Beetle has really, been, utilized a lot in Marvel comic books. Later, he would go on to be Mach 1, I think it is, and join the Thunderbolts team. So a really interesting character, in my opinion. I think that in the current continuity, he is dead and has been replaced by a female version of Beetle, who I will be talking about in a second later on in this video. But I really like this character. I mean, I'm if I look at the landscape of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm not really sure where Beetle shows up next. I mean, unless they want to actually do the Thunderbolts original roster, but I do feel like he's a character that is probably on the table. So I like this book. I like picking this thing up every time I see it. It's a pretty okay copy, probably a VG. It's got some foxing here on the sides. Got it for $40, which is a little more than I've paid for it in previous times when I came across the book, but still a good price for it in my opinion, because it's still a great early Silver Age book. All right, the next book I got here is another cool one. This one is definitely long-term spec if we're thinking long-term spec. This is Submariner #23, and what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first appearance of the character known as Orca. Of course, we all feel like we're getting Submariner in the MCU in the near future, which has this particular run, the Submariner run, really interesting. It's really like, a unique run that I feel like has a lot of keys yet to be discovered. I mean, if they're going to do a bunch of Submariner storylines, certainly they're going to look at the source material and pull from this particular run. So Orca, one of those, random B tier, C tier villains that goes against the Submariner. You never really know. I mean, if we're going to explore Atlantis and the whole world that exists within Submariner, we might see Orca one day in the future. It is really interesting because, I made mention of this in other videos before, that I like to look at, when's the last time this character has been used? Like, I'll be on the Marvel wiki thinking about, like, okay, Orca, he's cool character. This is his first appearance. But when's the last time we've seen him in comic books? And I recently looked up Orca, and actually he has shown up recently in the Avengers Jason Aaron run. So, I'm not to say that, we're going to be getting Orca in the next film, but anytime I see something like that, it gives me a little hope that, maybe a character will pan off in the future at some point. All right, the next book is another book that I picked up. This is now my third time finding this book in the wild. This is like, I was getting really lucky with the first appearance of Abomination. I feel like this is the book that now continues to find me in my hunts and hauls and stuff. But this one is Avengers number 69, first appearance of the Grand Master and first cameo appearance of the Squadron Sinister. Now, this is a book I've talked about many times on the channel, and I found this one for, it would have been $12, which is like a total steal. So really happy to get this one. It's like probably a VG copy, not the prettiest one I've ever found, but another great book in my opinion. I think we're going to get more Grandmaster. And now with the multiverse, I also think it's very, very possible that we get the Squadron Sinister. I mean, I think issue number 70 is probably the one you want to own for the Squadron Sinister because it's the first full appearance. But hey, people like their cameos as well. So anytime I find this book, I'm always down to pick it up. This one here is Champions number 1 from 1974, I believe that it is. And this, of course, is the first appearance of the team known as the Champions. Now, this is actually an interesting book. And so the other week I made a video talking about like team first appearances and ones that I thought, were worth looking out for. And someone in the comments made a good suggestion and said, hey, you should watch out for this Champions book. And while I agree that this is a cool book, like if I'm really thinking about it and being honest with myself, I kind of feel like this iteration of the Champions team is probably not going to happen in the MCU anytime soon, unless, we're like 40 years from now and they like, have really, really gone through the well of ideas and they need to unearth something, from the past. That's when I think, well, maybe this will show up. And the reason for that is because I feel like the Champions moniker, as far as the team is concerned, has been taken over by like the Sam Alexander and the Miles Morales and this new iteration of the Champions team. So I think it is very possible that we get a Champions MCU property thing in the future. But if we do, I think it's going to be the iteration of the team that is, the Miles Morales version. Because if we're looking at this roster, like, yes, Hercules, could be showing up in the MCU, could be a cool character, and I'd love to absolutely see him. But, we look at the other characters here. I mean, Ghost Rider, they're not going to put him on the Champions team. They're going to put him to, like, the Midnight Suns or something like that. Black Widow, it's like, trains passing in the night. Who knows what's going to happen with her storyline in the future. Iceman and Angel, they're going to be relegated to the X-Men stuff. I feel like they would sooner be in the XFactor team than they would be in Champions. So this particular iteration of the team, I'm not so sure it's going to happen, but I could be wrong. I'm totally guessing. Your guess is as good as mine for this thing. But regardless, I decided to pick this one up because I still think that this is a cool book. I'm super happy to have this one in my collection. It was definitely one that I was always looking out for, and I finally came across a copy that was being sold at $26, which I thought was a really, really good price considering this book is absolutely beautiful. It is in really, really nice condition, probably like an 8.0 or so. So I was really happy to have it. And, I like team books. I think teams are cool. All right, this other book I was able to pick up. This one I got for $8, which is a good deal. This one is Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, number 2. And what is the significance of this? Well, of course, this is the second appearance of Luke Cage and the first appearance of Diamondback, who was, I think, one of the villains in the Luke Cage show. This one is, a book that I just decided to pick up because I found it on the cheap. It's definitely really browning here. Like you can see from the colors, like it's not very white, which is the thing that's going against it. It feels like someone literally blew cigarette smoke on top of this cover. So this one has seen better days, but hey, I figured I would pick this one up. I still think it's a cool book. And I feel like, maybe we're going to get Luke Cage in the MCU in the near future. I feel like a lot of those characters like the Punisher, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, I feel like a lot of them are being talked about and thought about for, the use in the MCU. All right, this next book is one that I feel like a genius for thinking about this one. And this is one that I'm 100% when I do my next like sleeper spec video, I'm going to talk about this one because I'm just so excited about this. This is XFactor number 75. And what is the significance of this? I almost don't want to tell you guys yet. I want to save this for when I do a sleeper spec book, but whatever, we'll just talk about it now. This is the first appearance of the Nasty Boys. Now, who are the Nasty Boys? Well, if you are a fan of the X-Men animated show and you remember those Mr. Sinister episodes, you remember the Nasty Boys to be all those mutants that were his henchmen and his lackeys, like Gorgeous George, and I think that there was one called I can't remember the name, but I know Gorgeous George was one. He was like the weird purple guy who could like stretch like Mr. Fantastic. He was like Mr. Fantastic meets Cloak. That was kind of like his powers. There's another guy that was like Banshee, whose name totally escapes me. Anyways, this is the first appearance of those group of characters, and this is one that I think is super sleeper. I mean, if we're going to get Mr. Sinister, I'm hoping we would see all his lackeys of those types of characters. I thought that those guys were great in the animated show. My one thing that is, a little bit I'm unsure of is that, when I was looking up these guys and checking out their Marvel wiki, they have not been used in Marvel Comics for a very long time. I mean, I think that they've only been used in this particular run. So I don't know why no one has decided to bring them back. I thought they were great in the animated show. So anyway, regardless, I still think this is a cool book, even outside of MCU Spec. Like this one gives me nostalgia for the animated show. All right, this next book kind of relates to what I was talking about earlier with Beetle. This one here is Captain America number 608 by Ed Brubaker. And what is the significance of this? Well, this is the first full appearance of a Janice Lincoln Beetle. Now, remember we were talking about Beetle right here. Beetle is this character who I'm sure you guys know as being Abner Jenkins. Well, I think in the continuity of Marvel Comics, this character is actually dead and has been replaced by this female version of Beetle. And, if you go back to when I was talking about Luminous in my Sleeper Spec book, and I was talking about this board game I was playing, well, when you get the Wasp character, her villain is the Janice Lincoln version of Beetle. So I looked into Janice Lincoln, and I was thinking about her, and her first appearance on if you were to look at Key Collector or Marvel Comics or whatever, it's going to tell you Captain America 607. But I went into the Marvel Unlimited app. I looked at the book. She's in one panel in the entire book. And so in my opinion, I think that that's a cameo. So I like this book 608 as being her first full appearance because she's more involved in the storyline here. And I think that this is just a great cover. So anyways, regardless, Captain America 607 and 608, I think are really interesting spec books. And I decided to pick them up because I do actually feel like if we did get Beetle in the MCU, they might go with the Janice Lincoln version, who of course is the daughter of Tombstone. So little fun fact for you guys. All right, next book I got here, and I just have a few more books to show off. Next one I got here is one that I cannot believe how cheap the prices are for this thing right now. This, of course, is New Avengers number 40, first appearance of Venranki, the Skrull Queen. Now, we've been, we know that we're getting Secret Invasion in the MCU. There's been a lot of speculation that Emilia Clarke could be Venranki. There's been speculation that the actress name escapes me, Elizabeth Coleman, right? I think it is. She could be Venranki. But regardless, if we're getting the Secret Invasion storyline, it sort of begs the question that, we should be getting Venranki, who is the Skrull Queen, as part of that story. So this one, I think, is a really interesting book overall. And I can't believe what the prices for this thing are on eBay right now. I feel like this is a great spec that, is really, pretty solid. I mean, it's a safe spec in my opinion, but I was able to find this one for $8. So I thought that that was a great pickup, one that I definitely wanted to have in my collection. And I'm very, very happy I have it. I mean, spec aside, I still think that is a great book overall because of the significance. All right, the next three books I want to talk about in tandem. These ones I found all together for less than $5. This one here is Incredible Hulk number 106, which is the first time that we see World War Hulk up there in the top. This other one here is Incredible Hulk number 105. This is the book before that, which is like the end of the Planet Hulk run when his love interest dies, and that sets him off on the rampage. And then this next book here, I can't believe I found this for $5. This one is Iron Man number 225, First Armor Wars. And one of the things I want to talk about with these three books is, obviously the World War Hulk stuff has been, absolutely exploding. Like people have been charging, $50 for that World War Hulk #1 book. One thing to look out for is that, in this Incredible Hulk 106, this is the first time you see World War Hulk in the title right there. So if that means anything to anybody, this may be the, the #1 issue for this particular event. I don't really know. I feel like the World War Hulk book in name is just the one in name. But based on what the prices are for the World War Hulk book right now, and I look at this book right here, which is the first Armor Wars, you can get this thing for $20. Yet the World War Hulk book is, being sold right now at $50 or $60. So this kind of relates back to the video I did on Friday talking about like looking at gift horse in the mouth. I kind of wish I talked about that example as well. But, we have Armor Wars showing up for sure sometime in the near future, like 2023 or whatever the case may be. And it's just, speculation that we're getting World War Hulk. Why are people, so obsessed with the World War Hulk book when they could be having the Armor Wars book or even the Secret Invasion #1 for, half the price? I don't really know. I think people just love, their speculation, and that's one of the reasons why they pick it up. But regardless, I picked up Armor Wars. I picked up Incredible Hulk 106, and I'm happy to have them because if we do get World War Hulk, I think all those books are, going to continue to be hot. All right, and the last book I was able to pick up is one, of course, that I'm dubbing as Long Term Spec because I do think that this is a good long-term spec. Was able to pick up this one for $20. This, of course, is Amazing Spider-Man #209. First appearance of Calypso. Calypso, of course, has been, I don't know if it's announced officially or whatever, but she's been announced that she's going to be playing a role in the Kraven the Hunter movie in the Sonyverse later on in the future. I think this is a great book, and I've been able to kind of find this one, at that sweet spot price of like 15 or 20. I decided to bite the bullet on this one because this one was a really, really nice grade, so I figured I should pick it up. And this is like, I feel like a really safe, good spec overall. I mean, we know we're going to be getting a Kraven film. Seems like it's a very, very solid rumor that, Calypso is going to be playing a role in that movie. She's the love interest of Kraven, so, I think it's a really good spec overall. It's a, Spider-Man run in the 200s and the 80s, so I feel like people are always going to want a book like this, and I decided to pick it up for that reason. So that is all I got for this video. That was my comic book haul. A lot of really cool books, in my opinion, ones that I know are going to be long-term spec overall, but ones that I think are still solid pickups in my opinion. Anyways, that's all for this video. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next one.